Hey, welcome EPM. Today is Friday. Friday is the last day of the week, the day before, the Friday before the 4th of July. We're all going to have an amazing weekend, I'm sure, whether it's rain or shine. We do have a long 3-day weekend. We are closed Monday, and we reiterate that we are closed on Monday. Am I saying it right?
Monday.
They like to pick on the way I say Monday.
Say it.
Monday.
Monday. No, it's just.
We are closed on Monday, so please do not show up to work. Enjoy your recuperation from your 4th of July Sunday. And today we on EPM Empower Hour Live. We have Miss Val Miller. She's gonna come touch on some awesome social media aspects and just really a way to promote yourself professionally as well as personally. Hosting her, we're gonna have Salim, our new event coordinator. Did I say that? Event coordinator? Event and marketing coordinator, Salim. He's up in Philadelphia. So this is gonna be.
Man, gotta get them titles right, man. Did I
say it right? Did I get you right?
It's marketing events director, but yeah, that works.
No. You're right. No, Mark,
say it.
Mark, you're right. I want to give you your flowers. Marketing event director, Salim.
Flowers? Are you taking him out?
Yeah, I mean,
he's gonna send you flowers now. So be prepared.
He owes me a drink at least.
So yeah, guys, tune in. And it's gonna be fun. Salim, take it away.
Yeah, well, welcome everyone. This is a pleasure to be here. I just joined the EPM team not too long ago. So when I got this lovely invite to interview my good friend here, Val Miller, I couldn't turn it down to have the opportunity to come and talk to everyone. So I'd like us all at home to just give Val a little hand clap for coming to join us.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Val, we know you've been doing some great things at Art of Home Ownership. We know you had some experience working at AIME, the Association of Independent Mortgage Experts. We could talk a little bit more about that later, but we just want to welcome you here, and maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of some of the current initiatives you have going on at Art of Home Ownership.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thanks for having me, guys. I love everything that EPM does. I love the EPM family. You guys are awesome. So happy to be here. I've really been in the mortgage space it's really only been about a year, a little over a year, I guess, which is crazy to think about. But when I started out at AIME, I really just got to know the industry, fell in love with it, never thought that I'd be in mortgage, but eventually made the switch to come over to Art of Home Ownership as the community marketing manager. So really going high level, looking at their marketing strategy, social media, and at the same time building a brand for myself. So right now, the kind of initiatives of Art of Home Ownership, we are really on a mission to change the industry from being very transactional. So the same kind of culture that EPM has, lives not loans, we're along the same lines, really trying to create an advisor for life instead of just a mortgage professional who closes the loan and then leaves their clients hanging. So really keeping in touch with your clients long-term, providing value, that's what the platform is all about. So it's much more than just a platform. It's really adopting that mindset of being an advisor for life and doing the best thing for consumers. So it's been so much fun. Love the team over there. It's been a blast.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to discuss there about, being an advisor for life and just the importance of that. And, I think we want to circle back to that for sure. I'm interested to know, obviously you're doing a lot of great marketing things at Art of Home Ownership. Like, what made you, you talked a little bit about your experience at AIME, which is obviously where you and I met. We both used to work there together. But what made you just want to be involved in mortgage, and continue on in this industry? What do you like about it from a marketing perspective?
Yeah, good question. So initially, I wouldn't say anything made me want to get involved in mortgage because I never had that, I want to be in mortgage industry. It just kind of happened that I fell into AIME. And then I really just liked the environment of it and everyone as a community. It's a very big industry, but it feels very tight knit. Everyone's looking out for each other, helping each other. I also really like that. I like helping mortgage professionals because they sign up to be mortgage professionals, but they don't sign up to be entrepreneurs and marketers and run their own business. They just know the mortgage side of things. So I think it's really fun to look at, okay, I'm now doing mortgages, but how do I actually market myself? I think it's something that could use a lot more education in the industry. So I'm excited to be a part of that in any way I can.
Yeah, I mean, you've already touched on like brand development a couple of times already. It's like I think it's somewhat of an undervalued concept within
Yeah.
marketing. You know, obviously there's marketing as we're talking about flyers and all these things. Can you just talk a little bit about like why is brand identity important, and why is it important to like find your voice prior to maybe getting involved in, you know, your social media campaigns and all these things?
Yeah. Oh, I love that question. So
I go. Yeah, I go.
yeah, we're off now. We're off to the races. I think personal brand is so undervalued, especially in this industry, because someone has, you work for a company, so you have this brand that's already established, but it's very hard for a consumer to connect with a brand of a company, right? Because there's no face to it. You're not looking at someone and hearing them speak. It's just this logo that might have some culture to it. You might have a specific company culture that's established, and that can connect with people. But when you're establishing a personal brand, it would be, Salim, like, let's just use you as an example. If you are, think of your three most supportive friends that you have. So if you're friends with them on social media, they're always interacting with your posts, they're advocating for you in any way that they can because they support what you're doing and you're friends with them. So think about multiplying and duplicating those three people and having an audience of 500 on social media, just like them. That's really what it is to establish a personal brand. Because if I'm putting out content that's showing parts of my life and adding value to people in my audience, then it's almost like creating a bunch of one-way friendships. That
Yeah.
might sound like a bad thing because, a two-way friendship is what you're looking for. But if I'm putting out the content and my audience is seeing, oh, she likes this, she is helping me with this, and I don't even know it, then they're going to feel connected to me and trust me more. And then I'll be top of mind whenever they need whatever I'm offering. Mm-hmm. So as a mortgage professional, if you're there top of mind, always producing content that they're connecting with, it's helping them in some way, answering their questions, then when they eventually need a mortgage, you're going to be the one that's top of mind. So then they're going to reach out to you.
Yeah.
And part of that, like establishing that personal brand, is also transforming yourself to be approachable. So rather than just being super polished on social media and putting out, always polished graphics and videos that are edited, when they see you and they think of you as a human, they're like, oh, I can talk to this person. I feel a connection with them. It's really easy to reach out and just say, hey, because they feel like you're approachable, you're a human being. So establishing a personal brand is so, so important. So yeah. I would just, and it's really tough, it is, to get started, because it can be really scary and you have to be vulnerable, put out videos of yourself, but you really start to realize that if you mess up or stutter, say something wrong, or have a typo in your post, no one really cares. They really don't. It just shows that you're a human being.
Exactly. I think you're bringing up just like a valid point, though, that why a lot of people struggle is because when you're trying to develop that personal brand, really what people connect with most is kind of like being let in and seeing those flaws. They want to see that genuine side and kind of understand your personality. And I try to stress this a lot to people that, hey, we can talk about like your product and service all day, but it's like, hey, if you have that personality and that genuine, like, interpersonal connection with people, they'll follow you pretty much anywhere you go.
Yeah.
And you could change industries and go do something completely different, and those people will still support you. So this gets me over to I don't know if this is your quote or a quote you've been pulling from somebody, but I see you throw it out there a lot. It's you say, do what you love what you do. Or do what you love what you do. So tell us what that means to you and like how that applies to, just kind of like your brand identity and that development.
Yeah, for sure. I've always been a big advocate for, like, if you're not happy in a job, then it's not worth it. I don't feel like I don't ever wake up and dread working, because it's just something that I really do love to do. I love to, marketing strategy, that's my thing. I like to help people. I like to talk to mortgage professionals all day long. Like, I could network and sit on Zoom all day long. It's something that's fun for me. So if everyone else is like, seriously, If everyone is doing what they love to do, I think everyone would just be so much, like they'd be more fulfilled, they would be happier and just live better lives. So I am lucky enough to have found what I really love to do this early in life. So I'm excited for everything else to come, but that's really what, and actually the where I got that quote was, it's one of my favorite brands, Life is Good, the Life is Good brand. I follow them on social media. They're a big, just their quotes and everything. I use it in everyday life. So
you remind me of a meme. There's a meme that was going around of a guy in real polish, because you mentioned polish, real polish and stuff. He says, I know I look like I got my stuff together. It's curse word. I know I look like I got my stuff together, but deep down I have a hole in my sock. And so, and I thought that was perfect. I kind of recreated that with, when I first started working here, I came in looking sharp, but I was like, you know, I actually have a hole in my sock. So you know, I just wanted to show that I am a human being, and I guess it's time to do socks.
But he really did have a hole in his sock, and he took his foot off, his shoe off, and he showed me, and I was like, I just met you.
Yeah, so I love that. And no matter how polished you want to appear on social media, try to be relatable, be approachable, and it goes a long, long way.
And I know sorry, Salim jumped the question before we could jump in, so I want to go back to this as well. So thank you for sharing what you have, but I do love this, and I do want to hit back on it again, that it is more approachable to seem human, right? Flaws in your branding is not as terrible,
it's not as
right?
detrimental as you might
when you misspell or something, because it shows like, hey, we're people, right? Or we did these things, and I think that's really wonderful. I've actually been going on crusades recently, with people in the back house, telling them like, we need to appear more vulnerable. We need to look more real. We need to be approachable, because it is super important. And that's how I approach people too. It's like, I might ask some weird questions, sure, but it's creating this bridge that is us connecting and looking deeper than just being hey, how are you doing, let's talk about business, right? Is who are you as a person? I'm this as a person. So I really am glad to hear you say that as well. And then being able to do what you love to do is awesome. What would you, so I'm going to piggyback on this for my next question, right? So what do you think about people who might not be in a role that is their dream thing, right? Like you said, you're lucky enough to have found what you wanted, right? So
that's a great question.
How can you bring this same mindset, right, that you have for like, I found what I love to do, and I'm very lucky in this and blessed in this at this very early age, right? How do you bring that into your personal branding if you're not in a role that you specifically love and you haven't made to that next step yet, where you're like, oh, I realized that.
That's a tough one.
So how would you do that?
No, I love that question. So I think that it all depends if it's two things that can fit together, right? Because if you want to be a race car driver and you're in mortgage, I mean, you can kind of work some race car driving references into your brand, but ultimately driving race cars is not going to get you more money. So it's really all about working that in any way you can. So I'll give a good example. When I was at AIME, when I first started out, I was working in the partnerships. So I was working with lenders, actually, EPM being one of them. And that's not really what I wanted to do, but I was just starting out, so I had to go through it. And I got the opportunity to run my boss's social media. She was expressing that she didn't want to run it. She was looking for some help on the strategy side of things, and I dove all in. Like, that's what I love to do. So I created a whole, social media strategy, the branding colors, the different things that we could work in to make it more personalized. And, that's ultimately what I wanted to do. So I would say find any way to work in what you love to do, and also tell people and show people what your passions are, because that can also be, if you're in mortgage and you love race cars or you want to drive race cars, maybe someone else has the same passion and can really connect with that and start a conversation. So I think it's about showing who you are as a human, but then also finding those common things with other people where you can connect and really form relationships.
And create seeds. I'm so glad that you answered it that way. I set up the question hoping that that's what she would say, because that is exactly what I think, what I believe as well. It's, at some point in everybody's life, you're not exactly where you want to be. And at some point you have to you want to step up, right? Even if you are like right now, you're like, I love where I'm at, but in like a year, you might be like, I'm ready to grow. And how do you do that? How do you grow? So I'm glad that you said it that way, because it is about looking at it in a way that puts you in the center of it, looking at you, right? Like, I can do this, this, and this that I love, even though overall, like, this is not something I want to be doing forever.
Yeah.
I think that's such a beautiful part of that.
Yeah, and quite. Go ahead.
And I was just going to say that, well, just to reiterate that I think it's important to like identify what it is that you want and value. You said a very important thing. It's like, tell people. Like, you can't just presume or assume that, you know, your manager, your boss, or whatever, your colleague is going to know. Like, you have to get yourself out there, and hey, maybe you even tried doing some of those things in an entrepreneurial space too, you know, just so you're able to get a little practice on the side, get your, you know, your hands dirty a little bit. But I thought that was a very important point.
It is, yeah. I swear, I've been in this Dream Builder course. This is a little personal tidbit. So every Wednesday I go to this course where I'm learning how to tell people how to live the life that they want to live, how to free themselves and their mindset, right? This is something that's very important to me, especially since coming to EPM. Or, you know, before this, I feel like I kind of like did these things, I did these things, and I found my way in to EPM, just randomly fell into my lap. And then since coming here, it's like I've been opened up to all these new opportunities and all this new growth, and people believe in me in a way that empowering more people. But I feel empowered, right? I feel empowered thanks to EPM and all the things that we've been able to do. So I'm like, how do I give this back? I want to learn how to give this back, like, you know, follow your dreams. And that's what they say in dream building, is that you start out by just listing everything you want, right? Just know what you want, and then find ways to build it in and bridge it in.
Right.
That's really, thank you for bringing that up again. Like, that's a good point.
And I like what's, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I also think it's important to be, just like you said, in an environment that allows you to work in what you love to do. If you're in a space where your boss or manager isn't allowing you to kind of make the role your own, I think that's not a good space to be in. I'm lucky enough. I mean, my boss is like my #1 hype man. And anytime, like I just started a podcast, and he said, let me know how I can help you. He said, you don't need to brand it to Art of Home Ownership. It doesn't need to be a company thing. Just grow your brand and do what you want to do. Talk about what you love, and, you know, all day long, that it's going to be nothing but good things will come from it. So I am lucky enough to have people that are like empowering me to do what I want to do, but then it also makes me want to do my job better because they're allowing me to do that.
Yeah. What's the name of your podcast?
It's called the Feel Good Marketing Podcast.
Feel Good Marketing. And is it alive? Is it like out?
Yeah, so I have 1 episode so far. I just started it last week. So I'm doing like every other week, an episode coming out. So next week, it'll be a gentleman actually from Philadelphia. He has his own marketing agency. He works with HubSpot and Google Analytics, and he has some really good insights. So we'll be kicking off the 2nd episode next week.
I found it.
That's me.
Feel good with the hyphen. Feel Good Marketing Podcast by Val Miller. So the first episode is only 36 minutes. Congrats. That's a big deal. July 24th. I love it. How to be real as SpongeBob noise. Yeah, that's awesome. I just wanted to plug that for you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I think you're just kind of like touching on another important point that, you know, maybe some people struggle with their brand. It's like, you know, they try to find this balance between like, hey, here's the company, the entity that I work for, this logo, and then you're just kind of like the individual within it. And even though you have aspirations and want to, whether you're in sales or in marketing or operations, you know, if you want to, you know, it's about how do you like kind of, where's that line of like, hey, how do I still develop my brand and show people who I am as the individual versus like what I do to support, you know, the company that I work for. I see a lot of people have that type of issue. And I wonder about like, maybe you can just talk to people a little bit about like another question. LA and I had talked about this was like, you know, we've been talking about like being like just human and showing people that, you know, that real side of you, you know, being real as SpongeBob noise or whatever Blaine did.
I love it. SpongeBob reference. Sorry.
Like, where do you draw that line with like your personal life and like your professional life? Because obviously this is still like this professional corporate world. And I think marketers like us, we're a part of the the generation of kind of like hopefully redefining what it looks like to be in a corporate space. But like, how do you know how to draw that line between, sharing too much personal stuff or not enough?
Yeah. You don't want to be the oversharer, that's for sure. I would say that's kind of different for everyone. So just speaking for myself, I mean, I share like I think it's good to select a few different buckets of your personal life that you're willing to share with your audience. Now, this isn't a picture of your breakfast every morning. Like, I'm sorry, no one really cares about that. It's about what you love to do. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. If you love to cook and you're putting it, yeah, I get that. Yeah. But like I share my dog. Like I love my dog. I chill with him half the time. So we're homies. So I share my dog on my social media. I love to drink beer. I'm always doing like beer reviews on my Instagram, just little things like that people can connect with and be like, oh yeah, I love that beer. Like I've had people reach out and just connect over something so small like that. I think from a social media standpoint, if you're looking at, okay, how much content on Facebook and Instagram should I put that's personal? How much should I put that is business? I think roughly the 80-20 rule is a great tool to use for that. I would say 80%, and this is another good point. When you are posting things that are business related, it's not just for myself. I'm not just going to post art of home ownership, sign up. It's more about showing them what it's going to solve for them. So it's not just posting what you do, it's trying to solve a problem and answer their questions. So from a mortgage standpoint, there's so much opportunity for this because consumers are very uneducated about mortgages. Of no fault of their own. There's no class that you take that teaches you about mortgage, but as a mortgage professional, it's your job and there's a huge opportunity for you to say, hey, did you see these new guidelines that came out? This is what it means. I just saw a really good example. If you want a really solid example of this, is Ben Lavender the other day. They just came out with new guidelines for FHA 30-year mortgages. And Ben Lavender posted, because I saw a lot of posts on my feed that were regarding that, but didn't really explain anything about it. He posted a video that explained what it meant and it answered people's questions. Like, what does this even mean? So things like that, if you're answering their question, it's going to create even more of a connection because you're solving their problems. So it's not just straight promotion when you're putting out business content, it's helpful and valuable.
Yeah, and it's real good practice to be able to spot those type of instances where you can actually create learning lessons for people. I make YouTube, do-it-yourself YouTube videos on working on cars, just kind of a whole bunch of stuff, because if I Google it or go look out for it and there's no YouTube video for it or anything really substantial on it on Google, I create it. And so I have some YouTube videos with amazing views and people every day, they're like, oh, wow. I think especially about this particular vehicle, the Mitsubishi Endeavor, like it's an SUV that just seemed to have no video content. Like if you were to Google it or YouTube it, my video is probably going to come up first because I was like, that's cool. I owned the vehicle. And so I did a lot of work, tune-ups on it and stuff. So my videos got so many views and people are constantly writing saying, thank you. And actually kind of to a fault because now they think I'm a Mitsubishi Endeavor expert. And they write me and ask me all kinds of questions. I built up that trust that you were mentioning earlier, you know. And so now they see me as a subject matter expert, and when they ask, I have to hurry up and go find an answer for them because I put myself.
But you Google, you utilize, that's okay. You utilize your resources. You're our resourceful. Smart. I have a friend who did that with concrete as well. He was like, he wanted to know like good ways to mix concrete, better ways to mix concrete, and he wasn't like in the videos, and then like he started mixing concrete videos, and now he gets like 300 million views on his videos of just him like mixing concrete.
I want to touch on that. I want to touch on that for a second, just being like a content matter expert. It's like, what are, sorry, I kind of lost my question. I was thinking about, and then I was thinking about the cement mixer video. But being
concrete, cement, what's the difference? I don't know.
You're gonna go Google.
But Val, you had mentioned just like how, people have a responsibility to be like an advisor and what's like the benefit of being an advisor versus just we have a lot of, hopefully brokers on this call, some LOs. So obviously that title right there is describing more of the sales portion of it. But what is the importance of like taking that next step and being an actual advisor that people can rely on for all of their questions related to mortgage, and being a subject matter expert?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, one side of it, if you've never worked with someone in your audience before and you're answering their questions and being that advisor, then it creates opportunity for you to do business with them, because a lot of people aren't taking the extra step. So if you're using social media to teach people, then you're going to be that resource that they go to. So I think if you get to the point where, if I have a question about mortgage and I go to your page, your YouTube channel, your Instagram account to answer my question, then you've made it. Like that, I think that's the goal, is to have so much content that's teaching people that they seek you out for answers. And then kind of piggybacking off of that, the other side of it is, if you've worked with someone in the past and you close their loan and don't follow up with them with anything valuable, only to say, can you give me a review? That's not going to help them at all. So if you're continuing to follow up and be that advisor to say, Ryan Grant, he's involved with Art of Homeownership and he does a really good job. He does annual financial reviews. So he meets with his clients on a yearly basis to say, what situation are your parents in right now? What about your kids? Are they going to need to go to college? Is there anything that we can do? Maybe you need to do a cash out refinance to get money for something. So if you're continuing to help them for years down the road, you're setting yourself apart so much that they would never even think of going anywhere else. And how he words it is actually make them so reliant on you that they want to check with you first before making that big of a decision in their life. I think that's really where you should strive to be, is to be that advisor that they seek.
And Frazier
Frazier loves you.
Frazier said,
my guy Jason
is key. Yeah, Jason, create commonality with your audience. Don't be afraid. But we do have a question. This is outside of, I think, brands for a company, but I just think that this is an interesting question and I want to see how y'all would answer, because I have an answer. Yes. So Vera from Orlando office says, how do you deal with the days that you don't feel like being on social media? She said some days she's all about it, but other days she doesn't even want to open any of the apps. How do you balance and get over those days? How would you respond? That's a great question, which is really relevant. And I think respect what you feel. If you feel like you don't want to be on social media that day, then don't, because it can really be, it's like addictive. Like social media really is. And when you get into marketing and you're always connected, it can be really tough to unplug. So if you have that like line in the sand, keep it. I would say if you have a day, maybe set aside one day a week where you want to create your content, and you can schedule it out. Like that's the great thing about social media, is there's so much automation that you can just go in there and be set for the week. If you bang out 4 videos on a Monday and schedule them, and you don't need to touch it for the rest of the week, that's gold. As far as, I mean, the days that you don't want to be on social media, it's not going to kill your business if you take a day or 2 off a week. I would say just the days that you are on social media, be engaging with your audience, just make sure that you stay top of mind, but it doesn't need to be an everyday thing. I think it's about finding balance. And that brings up sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that brings up another good point when it comes to getting engagement on social media, is giving engagement, because when you it's like a psychological thing. If Salim does a favor for me, Salim bought me a bunch of drinks in Tampa, so I owe Salim some drinks from Tampa, because I need to pay him back. So I feel that obligation. So if someone is engaging with my posts, I feel like I need to engage with their posts, because I see them on a consistent basis, liking, commenting, and that creates more engagement for yourself. So if I go through, comment on something that resonates with me, I find a connection with, I drop a comment, tell them what I think about it, give my opinion, say that I like it or support their message, that puts this feeling in them of, wow, I should show Val some love the next time she posts. And it can be a subconscious thing. That's not something that they're actually thinking, but that just, it resonates with them and it helps a lot.
And it builds out the algorithm too. So you start showing up more on each other's stuff.
Yeah. I mean, me and Adair, our brand manager now, she and I will go through and we talk about like how to do this often. And like if you're going to post a reel, reels on Instagram is an awesome opportunity to get to a large audience very quickly. And don't be afraid to use hashtags, right? Like that's so key. And me and Adair have been testing like when is the right time to post, what time it is. Oh, Val is crushing. You got a Sean. You must know a Sean. What's up, my people? Val is crushing. I just wanted
Shawnee's
to say
awesome.
Yeah.
Shawnee was the first guest on my podcast. He rocked it.
Oh,
Nice,
nice.
I found the video of the SpongeBob noise just in case you wanted me to reference what that sounded like for y'all.
Perfect.
Not everybody knows, so I have it up on my phone if you're ready. But anyway, so we were reading about the algorithm and it says like before you post, right, you need to find the perfect time. What we're finding is that the perfect time to post is 9 a.m. to 9:15 a reel on Eastern time. This is Eastern time, right? So 9 to 9:15 with 10 hashtags. And before you post it, you go and you like about 10 posts and you comment on them. Then you post it, you share it to your story with it hidden over so you hear the audio. And then after you do that, you go and you like 10 more pick posts and you comment on those as well.
Wow.
And you go get into the algorithm. But then you read more and somebody else says the algorithm is like, you don't, and they say post every day. You got to post every day. You got to post every day. You got to post every day. But then other people are like, you don't really have to post every day. You just got to have intentional posts with intentional engagement, right? It's the law of circulation, as we call it. So you give, right? You give engagement to get engagement. And so it keeps going back and forth. So the more you give, the more you show up and you get.
Well, Val, I have a question on that because I've gone back and forth with this a lot with people. I know on my own personal social media, I try to take like the quality over quantity, stance. But then I've heard other large.
Same time you said it.
Okay, quality over quantity. See, that's what I try to. I try to do my own personal, but I have seen many. We'll just call them social media experts out there in the world who say for your business that really you just want to be. It's quantity, that you want that frequency of doing stuff somewhat daily. I'm just wondering what your opinion is on that.
Some people would say 3 times a day.
Like, I've heard that too.
Like the Kardashians, right? Or like these celebrities, they're posting like 3 times.
And obviously in those scenarios, it's probably quantity over quality. So what's your take on that?
I think quality is important. It really is. If you allocate your time in the best way, it's going to be to spend some more time to generate one piece of content that you're going to use over 2 days instead of 6 pieces of subpar content that you're going to use over 2 days. Exactly. So I would say if you have one piece of impactful content that people are, because it has a pretty long lifespan too, especially depending on which platform you're posting on. If you put something on LinkedIn, I posted something like 2 weeks ago and I'm still getting engagement on it. So people are still seeing that. If it's good, then it's going to continue to get engagement and continue to come up on people's feed. But I think, when you're talking about this in a mortgage sense, again, mortgage professionals are not marketers. That's not their sole job. So they have so many other things to do. So in that sense, I would say focus on quality because you don't have all day long to be posting just random things throughout the day. If you're strapped for time, focus on quality. If you can just post things that resonate with you. I wouldn't, don't post like crappy content and think that it's going to get you deals.
That's a good point. So quick jump right here. All right. So you call yourself, you're a marketing expert, you're a relationship builder, you're a book nerd.
Self-proclaimed book nerd.
Which 3 of those titles means the most? It's my dog, sorry. And there's 2 of them. Which one of those 3 means the most to you?
Oh, relationship builder for sure. I love connecting with people because I think that kind of feeds everything else. Like when you talk about marketing, creating relationships with people will do wonders for your marketing efforts because again, it's like having that audience of all of your closest friends and most supportive friends that are constantly engaging with your stuff because they feel a connection with you and they have that relationship already. So I think that that's most important over anything. I also am a total book nerd and I read every day. So I mean, that also means a lot to me, but yeah, for sure. I mean, I love marketing all day long, but I think a big part of that is creating relationships.
And for the folks on the call today
Nice.
who are trying to,
Oh,
you know,
kinda
think
got
about
hiccup.
some, oh, am I frozen? You got me there, LA?
No, you're good.
Okay, yeah, all
Yeah,
right.
it froze for a second. Yeah, it froze for a second.
Well, Val, just on that note of just relationship building, because I think you're just bringing up a huge point that everyone on this call, no matter, like I said, no matter your department, it's going to be valuable for you in one way or another. If we have some brokers out there, LOs listening on this call, you know, what are some simple, you know, simple suggestions you may give on how you can work on just your relationship development outside of just the strict salesy kind of, you know, typical stuff that we know?
Yeah. Um, the abundance mindset is a big one. I think that that's so important in this industry, is just giving without any expectation of receiving in return. So if you're there offering help to someone without, I get it all the time, the message on LinkedIn, hey, how are you? Good, how can I help? Well, what are you looking for? Leads? Do you want leads for your business? I can sell you these types of leads. I even got one the other day that was literally just listing the type of leads that they could sell to me. That's not going to create a relationship with me at all. They're just trying to sell, and that's their number one objective. So creating relationships with people, connect with people on LinkedIn and look for, you know, mutual friends and say, hey, I saw you know this person, so do I. I have this relationship with them. Would love to just chat sometime. With no expectation of doing business with them, or, you know, if it's a realtor, getting any referrals from them. I think just setting that expectation of I'm here as a resource, I'm here to help, does wonders, because it happens so little in this
Yeah.
industry, especially people just want to sell all the time.
Well, I want you to tell us, I'm sorry, Elliot, but I just looking at the time and I'm looking at this question. I want you to tell us a little bit more about the resource, because I don't know if we've had a chance to maybe dive into it a little bit. So we just got one question here saying what type of for life support does your organization offer? So if you mind just kind of maybe telling us a little bit more about Art of Home Ownership and that product and how it's been benefiting brokers and consumers.
Thanks for that question, Sam.
Yes, so it's a good question, and I could go on for this all day long. But what Art of Home Ownership is really meant to do is to position you as that client for life, like I said. So it gives you a lot of opportunity with not only consumers, but to your referral partners as well. Because a lot of the partners that we have on our platform, our clients are called partners. A lot of our partners lead with the Art of Home Ownership value. So when you go to a consumer and say, I'm going to offer these tools to you and it's going to help you save money in the long run, we found that it really doesn't matter if you're half a point higher than someone else, if they're paying a higher rate, they are signing up for the value that you're offering to them more than the price. People will pay for the value. It's statistically proven. So what Art of Home Ownership does is follow up and provide these tools for them to manage their home at the highest level. So it provides them like one part of the platform they can use to put all of the information for their home. So any warranties that are in their home, all of their appliance information, this tool will remind them to update it if a filter needs to be replaced or anything like that. And these homes we found sell for more because they're maintained at such a high level. A good example of this is my boss, Zach, is actually out in California. And earlier last year, I guess it was, when the fires were happening out in California, he got a notification saying you want to replace your filters because they're like out of date, or they've been in there too long. So things like that. It's about keeping your family safe, keeping your home maintained. And then we have relocation technology, so just helping make that transition to a new home seamless. There's 6 different tools in the platform, but it really just positions you as an advisor. We highly encourage and coach our partners to do that annual financial review. So like I said, meeting with them for 15 minutes on an annual basis to say, what does the rest of your family, what position are they in? Is there any way to help your kids or your parents? Are your parents going to need to go in a home soon? Like having that holistic look at the mortgage instead of just saying, here's a bunch of debt, good luck paying it off. It really does just shift the mindset to be that advisor And we found so many of our partners are really seeing success with, especially creating relationships. They do, like, really establish these corporate affinity partnerships with Facebook. Ryan is the preferred lender for all Facebook employees because he went there and said, I have this platform, all these tools that I can offer your employees. He gave a quick presentation and he had thousands of them sign up for this platform. So he's now their preferred lender because of that. So it's really about that leading with value, just like you should be doing on social media, but implementing that into your mortgage professional as well.
Sorry, we're blown away. You're crushing it, Val. I
You
just had to say it again. We're just like, you're killing it.
Yeah, I was like,
wow.
wow.
And this is good. I'm like sitting here, I'm like, okay, I'm keeping this. I'm going through the process right now, so
Exactly,
I'm like, you know, going to be looking out for this.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base on the whole building a relationship outside of just sales. Because it's funny, you both mentioned that. Celine mentioned it, you mentioned it, Blaine mentioned it. My realtor that I purchased, that helped me purchase my home 10 years ago, whatever, is still my close friend on Facebook. He reaches out on pretty much everything I post, every other thing that I post, and never just tries to sell me. Every now and then he writes me email saying, hey, the market has changed, you might want to look into it, such and such. But mostly he engages with me about everything from my kids to soccer to, you know, so, and it's beautiful. I love it. He doesn't just try to sell me. And so now I know I can trust him. You know, I feel like he sees my family, he's watched my kids grow, you know, so it's a beautiful relationship.
So Adair,
Adair,
who I already referenced before, who is brilliant in her own right. Mm-hmm. She asks, first of all, she gives you a compliment. She says, you were great, Val. What are some resources you use, you listen to, you read to better your knowledge in the mortgage marketing? How did you do that? And so please, can you just give us some tips?
Yeah, I mean, using the abundance mindset here, I know I said I just started a podcast, but I actually listen to a podcast that I highly recommend. So it's called Stay Paid. And it's a sales and marketing, real estate related podcast. So these guys, Luke and Josh, I actually interned for their company called Reminder Media when I was in college, and they've really made it. I mean, this podcast it was like number 3 on the Apple charts or something like that. They're killing it. Yeah, that's the one. And they provide excellent tactical advice, like things that you can use in your email subject lines. Like they'll get so specific, and that's why I can have clear takeaways after I listen to an episode. And like I said before, if I have a question about, you know, email subject lines or things that I can be doing differently in my social media posts, I go to their podcast channel to look at if they have an episode about that. And that's, you know, again, that's where you want to make it to. So those guys, I highly recommend. I'm always reading books. I think on the creating relationship side of things, like How to Win Friends and Influence People is like my Bible. I refer to that all the time. I think it's so important. But yeah, there are tons of great resources, but I would say that podcast and just reading books in general about working with people and marketing. I read Guerrilla Marketing is a great book that I found some takeaways from, but that would be my main sources. That's a great question.
So Adair is on vacation. So Adair, this is for you specifically. Listen to this podcast while you're chilling.
Yeah.
So
it's actually entertaining. They have like dad jokes and stuff, so it keeps it light, keeps it fun.
Perfect.
Cool. Well, and what was the name of the podcast again?
Stay Paid.
It's called Stay Paid.
Stay Paid.
And you keep talking about abundance mindset. So I know what this is, and a lot of people might not, because LA said, what is that? He's immediately trying to start Googling. I'll tell you what it is later. Mm-hmm. So I know it has nothing to do with anything, but just for anybody, what does that mean, abundance mindset? Because, you know, when you take off, when you have an abundance pool and you take out a cup of abundance, what it remains? Nothing but abundance. So do tell, what is this abundance mindset?
Yeah, so really having an abundance mindset is the opposite of viewing everything as a threat. Like if I find a company that's a close competitor of art of homeownership, I want to learn from them and I want to create relationships and learn how they're doing well and use it in my own business. Like I'm not going to try to collapse them as a company. It's really just about giving no matter what and providing value for anyone that you can and just not viewing everyone as a threat. Like I try to create relationships. This is a perfect example. And this is something that I do struggle with, and it can be hard. But there's a gentleman in the industry, Enrique, that just started a podcast, and he was launching the same week that I launched my podcast, and his was about mortgage marketing. And I saw it and I was like, like now we're competing. And I reached out to him and I was like, Enrique, when are you planning on launching your podcast? Because I'll just plan mine around that so that we're not directly competing with each other. And he was so appreciative, and he was asking, how many episodes are you planning on putting out? And I'm not sure how much to post about it and blah, blah, blah. So it turned out that we ended up helping each other rather than competing at all, because really there's enough to go around. There's so many people in the mortgage industry. There's so many mortgage professionals that can listen to both podcasts. They don't have to compete. So just things like that. I try. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm not like always having an abundance mindset, but I just try to keep it in the back of my mind and try to implement that on a daily basis.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that too, that I think competition is good when it's constructive. I think it's good that we can have peers that push us and drive us to, and hey, we can have a little competitive, friendly nature here where we're gonna both want to, see each other win. But then you start to realize in the abundance mindset that there really is no competition. The only competition is almost like with yourself. It's just like, what can you do to see other people around you win? That's a kind of like, a nice like barrier for success that we need to like kind of start breaking down, because people think that it just has to be like, oh, what am I doing for me, my career? How am I getting to the next level? And it's like, when you just start to take a seat back and realize that, hey, part of that struggle is by watching some other people win around you. And that's all also how you grow. That's when I think you really start to click into that abundance mindset.
Yeah. And you got to do things that feed the faith. That's what I call the faith is, in this case, the thing you love, right? You got to do things that feed the faith and starve the fear. So you want to move towards a yes and away from doubts. You want to move towards things that say, I can do these things. I am doing these things. And this is all available to me. Nice. And you move away from this thought that, oh, well, like well, Enrique posted a podcast at the same time, so I'm out. I got to think of something new. It's like, no, there's room for everybody. Exactly. And we can all, and something that they would take from you, maybe Enrique is hitting, something, right? Just using this as an example, but, the takeaway from Enrique could be totally different than the takeaway from you. And then I use both of those things and boom, and guess what? Now I'm more successful as a mortgage marketer because I've listened to both of you who have, clearly an understanding of what you're doing. So that's just what that is. So I'm glad we ended on that point.
I knew I was going to learn something today. I knew at the beginning of this conversation.
Learn something every day.
Yeah. Yeah. At the beginning of this conversation, before we started with Val, I said, we're all social media people, but we could all give something to each other and take away something and learn from each other. And I think today I was going to learn. So Val, you're on it, man.
So we're nearing the end of our hour right now. So I just wanted to give you, just wanted to give you an opportunity to wrap up if you wanted to say one word, and what's your takeaway, just anything, just to kind of wrap us up.
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to be yourself and show your imperfections on social media. Don't aim to be this polished, perfect person, because it really ends up hurting you more than it helps you. I think posting things that you struggle with or are going through and overcoming, I think that creates a really good connection with your audience. And it can do wonders for your engagement and, eventually see business from it. But I would also say social media is a long game. So it's not about starting to be active and then getting all these deals. It's about being top of mind enough so that when someone needs your service, you're the first person that they think of. I think that's the goal with social media.
I told someone recently, she was like, I'm starting this new live series and I had 5 people on it and And I was like, how many have you done? She said, this is my 3rd one. And I said, and you had 5 people watch the whole thing? And she said, yeah. I said, that's amazing. You just started 5 people. And she's like, well, I want to get to here. And I'm like, well, yeah, you will, but this is the 3rd one and you had 5 people watch. Like, that's more than you had 3 weeks ago when you had nothing. So that's, you got to also understand that too. But I want to say too, on top of what you're saying, is don't be afraid to experiment as well. Like if you own your uniqueness, right? Like find, if you have your brand or whatever, find, see what works, see what doesn't work. Don't be afraid to like test the waters, like figure out when's the best time to post, figure out what good hashtags are, figure out what actually moves people, what part of your personal story do they connect with, I think it's fun to experiment with social media, especially since we live in it now. It's like social media is everywhere. I feel like I've been in social media for over 15 years because we were teenagers. I was a teenager when it was started, 13. So when I signed up for my first one, so it's
I was
like,
18. Oh, man. It's still the same amount of years.
anyway, I just wanted to add that in. Like, if anybody's like, well, how do I know what to post? Just experiment. Just that's where you.
And
know,
what
just start.
and what Shawnee just put in the chat too.
I was about to
Learn
say
from others. Learn from
Yeah.
others to reach your full potential. I just put up a post the other day about like stealing things from people. Honestly, it sounds bad, but there's a book called Steal Like an Artist that I highly recommend. It's not mortgage or marketing related, but it's just about studying the people that are doing it the best and
Yep.
taking things from what they're doing and make them your own. It's not against the rules. It actually
Right.
is going to help you a
Exactly.
lot, because
Exactly.
if they're killing it with it, then you will be too. So
Information is information.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
you can just steal the idea. You know, you don't have to steal the exact
Yes.
post. You steal the
Co-op.
idea. Yeah.
Co-op.
Yep.
Co-op. It co-opted the idea.
Not still, we co-op.
We co-op.
right.
Well, anyway, we can go ahead and wrap up. Celine, do you have anything you would like to add to the end of this?
No, I mean, well, actually I did that, just what we were just talking in the end there about abundance and kind of just like not being afraid to try things. Something I say to, I work with a couple of DJs in Philly, and I talk to them. I say, man, it doesn't matter if you got 500 people in your crowd or 5, you really just gotta just be you and let it out. And you never know who those 5 people might be.
Right.
Just be those important ones. So no matter the transaction, no matter the the scenario, really just show people who you are and give them that real glimpse of you, because it might just be that one person that you do that to who will actually be a big key to your future success.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great point.
All it takes is, Lady Gaga says, all it takes is there could be 100 people in a room, and all it takes is one person.
And Val, I just want to thank
Right.
you so much. I mean, it's honestly been just like such a pleasure. We met, I don't know, was that it was at the beginning of 2020, right? Or like right in March 2020.
Yeah, I
right
started
when the pandemic
March
hit.
last year. Yep. Yeah.
It was like Val joined the team and then COVID hit. So then we all just were out of the office. So she was still like the new girl, like 7 months later still. When we
Yeah,
finally came back.
exactly.
But no, honestly, it's been really great just to see your progress and growth as a marketer, as a mortgage professional, as a relationship builder. Sometimes we look at age and things like that, but you have a lot of great things to offer us. And I know that the people on this call today were very happy to hear your perspective, as was I.
Thank you. Yes.
Thanks,
thank you
guys.
so
This
much.
was
Yes.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You guys rock.
We'll see you soon. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Of
Y'all have
course.
a wonderful day, and
See you
happy 4th
guys.
of July to everyone out
Enjoy
there.
your 4th.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.